What would happen to Earth if the sun suddenly turned off? It's probably the single most frequently asked question sent to "What if?" and it's one that's already been tackled many times. A quick search for "What if the sun went out?" turns up plenty of excellent articles that thoroughly analyze the situation. But I think there are still a few overlooked angles in this scenario, so I'm going to add my 2 cents. Let's not worry about how it happens. Maybe the sun just stops. No explosion, no dramatic supernova. Just one day, for some unknown reason, it becomes a cold, dead, black sphere. What would that mean for us, here on Earth? Well, for starters, we'd have better astronomy. No sun means no sunlight, which means ground-based observatories could operate 24/7. The cooler air would make the atmosphere more stable, producing less distortion. That would reduce the need for complex adaptive optic systems and allow telescopes to capture sharper, cleaner images of the cosmos. We'd also see an improvement in satellite communication. When a communication satellite passes directly in front of the sun, the intense solar radiation can drown out the signal, leading to brief service interruptions. With no sun, that interference disappears entirely. And think about global business. One of the small but real inefficiencies in international trade is time zones. It's hard to coordinate meetings when it's 2 p.m. for you and 2 a.m. for your colleague on the other side of the world. If there were no sun, we'd have no sunrises or sunsets, just perpetual darkness. That means we could eliminate time zones completely and switch to coordinated universal time across the board. The entire planet could work on one schedule, potentially giving a modest but measurable boost to global productivity. We'd also be safe from solar flares. In 1859, a massive flare known as the Carrington event slammed into Earth, triggering a geomagnetic storm. A fundamental rule of physics is that changing magnetic fields induce electric currents in wires. And by 1859, Earth was already wrapped in telegraph lines. The surge from the storm caused widespread failures. Some telegraph equipment even caught fire. Since then, we've wrapped the planet in far more wires. If a similar flare hit us today, the U.S. alone could suffer trillions of dollars in damage, more than every hurricane in history combined. But if the sun were turned off, that risk would be completely eliminated. Speaking of hurricanes, those would stop too. They're powered by warm ocean water, which is heated by the sun. Without solar energy, the oceans would freeze, shutting down the entire hurricane engine. No heat, no water vapor, no storms. The planet would be calm. Frozen, but calm. And let's not forget about infrastructure. The U.S. Department of Transportation estimates that it will cost about $20 billion per year over the next 2 decades just to repair and maintain the country's bridges. Many of those bridges span rivers, lakes, or oceans. Without the sun, those water bodies would freeze solid. Why build expensive bridges when you could just lay down a strip of asphalt over the ice? Children would be safer too. Health professionals recommend keeping babies under 6 months old out of direct sunlight to protect their sensitive skin. If there's no sunlight, that risk disappears. And while we're at it, let's talk about pilots. Some people have a strange reflex that makes them sneeze when exposed to bright sunlight. The exact cause of this photic sneeze reflex is unknown, but in rare cases, it's been speculated that a sudden sneeze could pose a danger during flight. With no sun, we eliminate that small but intriguing aviation hazard. Dust, strangely enough, would also benefit. Right now, sunlight causes something called Poynting-Robertson drag, which slowly causes orbiting dust particles to spiral toward the sun. Without that sunlight, there'd be no drag. We could finally place dust into stable orbits around the solar system without them decaying over time. I'm not sure why we'd want to do that, but at least we could. And then there's wild parsnip. It's a surprisingly vicious plant. Its leaves contain chemicals called furocoumarins, which can seep into your skin without any immediate effect. The danger comes later, when your skin is exposed to sunlight. Even days or weeks afterward, the reaction can trigger severe burns. This condition is called phytophotodermatitis. Without sunlight, we'd be free from the threat of parsnip burns forever. So, if the sun suddenly went out, we'd actually see a surprising number of improvements across a variety of fields from science and technology to safety and infrastructure. Sounds like a win, right? Well, there's just one tiny downside. We would all freeze and die. Without the sun's energy, Earth's surface would plummet below freezing in a matter of days. Within a week, the average global temperature would be 1 degrees. Within a year, it would sink to around 100 degrees. The oceans would become slabs of ice, photosynthesis would stop, and the entire food chain would collapse. Humanity wouldn't last long, not without a backup star. So yes, better Wi-Fi and no hurricanes sound nice, but in the end, the sun is kind of essential to life, and maybe even worth keeping around, parsnips and all.